Up guys, your boy Empire here, back with another video. Today's video is going to be my Manchester United v Crystal Palace game, week 2 but 1 for us. Player ratings. So as you can see, there's my first player rating. David De Gea is getting a 5. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't have to miss an upload. But yeah, last night was terrible. Of course, the time I'm recording this, I can't understand why they would lose this game. And it's, of course, as Manchester United, it's not good to lose these games. But if we had lost this game, because Palace played way better than us, they were like prime Barcelona. You know what I mean? I've understood, but they not. They at least about 4 or 5 of the players were like played quite well, and the rest of the whole defense was playing like their lives on the line, and that's how our defense should have been playing. But it's always been a struggle for us, and yeah, it was quite a bad game. And United, as you all saw, and of course my predictions, I was quite positive, but now I might even think that United might lose to Brighton, but it's possible. But yeah, United player ratings. Okay, I gave David De Gea a 5. Why? Because compared to the entire starting 11, who was the best there, he made a couple of crucial saves, and I think the third goal that Palace scored, he could have done something about that. It was on his near post. Of course, he expected it to go on his left, but Zaha struck the ball to the keeper's right, so it was unfortunate, and it was another mistake by a defender, which you'll see straight soon. But yeah, had a great game, saved the penalty, but unfortunately the ref, he doesn't like the fact that De Gea finally saved penalties, so he kept the streak going and rewarded Palace with another penalty. And yeah, he did go off the line, but that's just a dumb rule in my opinion, and that shouldn't have happened. That was just an unfortunate penalty. And for me personally, I think that regardless, they shouldn't have saved the penalty, because that was a bad penalty taken by whatever, man. Sorry. Taken by Jordan Ayew. That was a bad penalty. The run up was slow, and it was predictable. But yeah, I gave the 5, just below an average. So yeah. And then next we'll have Fosu Mensah. I gave him a 3. A lot of people believed he had a very, very crap game, but a lot of people saying that was very, very bad at in terms of defensive work, and also poor up front. For me, I think that for me, I personally think that for me it's half-hearted, because defensively, when Palace attacked, he was nowhere to be found on the right hand side. He was poor defending, poor marking, poor tackling, no interceptions made, if I'm correct. But yeah, he had a bad game defensively, but offensively, it's the same thing. It's the same situation with Luke Shaw last season. People say he's crap offensively, but the attackers need to take the chances, because offensively, this guy was, I'm not going to say he was very good, but compared to players like Rashford and Martial and them, I think you can contest with in that game. He could contest with them in terms of who was the better attacker, because for example that it was him, if I'm correct, that crossed the ball towards Mason Greenwood, and it was an open header for Greenwood, and he should have taken it. He should have scored. And yeah, he made the runs, he got the balls in, and when he passed the ball into the box, it was smart. And the thing is that the attackers up there was poor as well. is defensively last season we were a bit crap, but throughout of that season our attackers were horrendous. They weren't as good as we make them out to believe. Stats do differ, but when you watch the game you see that they crap. But stats differ because don't get wrong. Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood, they had great seasons. Even Daniel James sort of season, he had a great season, but just if your attackers are not going to score the goals, are not going to create the right opportunities, and are going to miss sitters, then you really can't blame the defense, because those moments are going to punish you. But of course, the defense did perform quite bad, but you can't always rely on the defense to do the work when the attackers are doing bull crap. So yeah, I gave Fosimens a 3. It couldn't really go any higher, maybe lower, because he is a right back and he was supposed to be that man on the right hand side helping Lind. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna stick with the 3. I want to give him a 2, but I'm gonna stick with the 3. He did perform quite bad, and Lindelof had no support from him on that right hand side. So maybe the stick on Lindelof, it's correct. He did perform quite badly, but maybe you should just relax on the criticism on Lindelof just slightly bit, because Foster Benson was nowhere to be found. So there's that. Then next up, speaking of the devil, Victor. Sorry. Victor. Oh no, Harry Maguire. Sorry. No mistake. Harry Maguire. Also giving him a 3. Misplaced passes, too many touches taken. Just another poor game from our captain, and there's not much I can really say. It's just another bad performance from Harry Maguire, and it's just terrible. And I just think that we need, because comparing him to Leicester City, he was a beast, sort of. But yeah, he was quite a good player. And things with Lindelof, if you have a bad defender next to you, I'm not going to call him a bad defender, but if you have someone who's worse than you, I'd say. People compare Lindelof and Maguire and say the same, but Maguire the best Lindelof, because he's good not offensively, he's good at aerial duels, so maybe he gets ahead of Lindelof in that situation. So yeah, I think that Lindelof exposes Maguire a bit. It's a bit of a quote I'm taking from usually the United stand, but yeah, he exposes Maguire's faults, and Maguire's made to look like a flop, because last season, really realistically, he wasn't really a flop. So there's that. And for me, he just gets a 3, because just like the other players, he had a bad game. And then moving on to the centre back, which I'm just explain about Victor Lindelof. He gets a 1 from me. I'm not gonna give him a 0, because there was that situation where he was 1-on-1 with was it Schulp? I'm not sure, but the first goal we conceded, he improved on that, and he didn't make the same mistake twice. And I don't think the handball should have been a handball. There was, I'm not going to say it was ball to hand, but it wasn't intentional by Lindelof. And yeah, but regardless, the rest of the game he was just poor. And there was a moment in time we were pressing Crystal Palace, and whenever they had the opportunity to go out of the box, to go out of the half and attack, they performed well. But Lindelof and Harry Maguire were good defensively in terms of that. But it eventually, worked in Crystal Palace's favor, and Zaha, scored. But yeah, there's that. But he just gets a 1. That was quite a terrible performance. Then we move on towards Luke Shaw. I'm giving him a 4. I know it's a bit of a high score in terms of how poor everyone played, but For me, Luke Shaw was making the runs on left back. He was good defensively, sort of, maybe Luke Shaw couldn't really do anything. In terms of he could have tried to push, Townsend off try and push him off the ball, but that's also Harry Maguire's job to get there, because whenever there's an attack and the crosses come in, Maguire is hardly there. So I think the main thing in terms of the defense and how poor they were was positionally they were crap, and they were positionally they were just crap, to be honest. And they really disappointed us, and I'm really quite upset with that. But Luke Shaw, he gets a 4 from me. For me, him. Oh, what else can I really say? For me, I think the fullbacks performed better than the attackers, to be honest. In terms of offensively, the fullbacks were better than the attackers for me when I watched that game. So yeah, there's that. Then we move on towards midfielder. Scott McTominay gets it too. Lost position many times, missed time tackles. It was just terrible. I think that he shouldn't have started, and at least put in Fred there. If all you want to start Fred, he could have. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. It's my mom shouting at my sister. Yeah, sorry about that. If he wasn't gonna start Fred, he could have put Pogba in that position and played Donny van de Beek. So, it goes down to the manager, to be honest. In my opinion, I think that's where he made a fault, and also some of his substitutions as well. So, I think that some of the plays that he started with were terrible. I'll be honest. I think Dominic and James, they weren't terrible. They're not terrible players, but why would you want to play? Why would you want to start them when you already have an 11 and you need to improve that 11, but you put on bench players who haven't really been performing for us in over a few months, not a few months, a lot of months now, and you put them in that team, and that team does get worse, regardless. Even though all those players were performing bad, let's say all those players had a good game, McTominay would still be the letdown, because that CDM role is important in that type of formation. You need your CDM to have a good game, and that's why I think that a player like Thiago would have been wondrous, in order to get him into the team and play him in that position, because he's a perfect replacement for Matic. He's 3 years younger, and would have been a great signing, but Tommy just wasn't the guy to be in that position, and I think he's a box-to-box midfielder, and for me at 2 he's the best. He's just at best, just sympathy for me. If same with Lindelof, I would have given him 0, but just for some good traits that he had in the game, but terrible performance from these two. And then next, Paul Pogba, one who also lost. Thing is, the whole team, possession, we had lots of possession, but we also lost a lot of possession. And Pogba, he could have made simple passes, but just in the game where he's holding the ball, he tries to look where they can get around the play, when he can just make a simple pass to the players near him or anything. And Paul, he has come back from COVID-19. He did test positive, so I'm gonna have to let it slide because of that. But regardless, in terms of that game, he performed poor, and wasn't really that great compared to the other players. And for me, I think he was, compared to the other players, he was one of. Sorry, guys. He was one of the positives, but yeah, just didn't work out for him. And yeah, that's why I'm giving it 3. And next team, Bruno Fernandes gets a 4. Defensively, he was our best defender. Offensively, I think that when Bruno first came into the team, and he used to shoot a lot from long range distances, and that I think that would have been good in this situation, because we just couldn't get past that Palace defense, and it was bad, so there's that. But yeah, And the free kick, I think he should have scored that, but it's unfortunate. We're not gonna get that points because of that. But you know what I mean. Like the other players, he had a bad performance. I don't know how many times I can repeat this, but he just had a bad performance because from the get-go, around the start of the game, he lost a lot of position. He got the ball, lost position, tried to sprint back and get the ball, but he couldn't. He wasn't fast enough as the Crystal Palace attacker. So there's that, and just wasn't working out for him today. Daniel James, I'm giving him a 3. Same score as Pogba. He didn't do much wrong, but for me, Daniel James didn't do anything wrong. Personally, for me, I didn't think he did that much wrong. I just think that, if he, what frustrates me more is that, Palace didn't have their full back line with, Cahill, did Cahill play? I don't think so. Cahill, Patrick Van Arnold, and they had Mitchell to replace him, and I think that's where United, if we're, people saying regardless if we had Sancho, wouldn't have worked out. I think that would have worked out with Sancho because Sancho and Wan-Bissaka or Fossumans who was playing there would have exploited that would have known to exploit that right back, no left back, right? Yeah, they would have exploited that right hand side and would have tried to cross it in. Because I think on the right hand side there would have been a major difference, but regardless of that right hand side, there was whenever the crosses came in, there was hardly anyone there in that box. It was either only Martial or just no one at all. You know what I mean? So maybe if he had gotten Sancho or something, there would have been a difference in that game. But regardless, Daniel James, I think for me personally, you can't really say that players are that good because of his physical prowess. Because you get Lionel Messi, who's one of the best players or is the best player in the world or in history. But I think that's what really when you notice Daniel James' game, that's what really lets him down. He's fast, but he's not. His physicality is not as great as those, defenders, those right backs or left backs. He's not as great. And maybe that lineup that was out on that was playing left mid or left wing. I think that would have been great. And you put in Greenwood because compare Rashford to James. Rashford, I'd say, is better, but I think Rashford needs a break, because none of his players hardly had a break. Preparations wasn't no preparations was taken into consideration for the season, because everything was all over the place. The Glazers getting negative comments from fans, transfers were slow, no players hardly fit. We came into this season tired, and I just hope that improves in terms of the new signings we could be getting. And for me, this week needs to be Sancho and Taylor's week if we're going to get those players. This week needs to be the week, because regardless, that team on paper should have beaten Palace and should be able to beat Brighton this weekend. So yeah, Danny gets a 3 from me. Then next up, we're going to have Martial. He also gets a 3. Martial is our number 9. Positionally, he wasn't in the box as much he wasn't in the box that much, but when the ball went through the defenders, he wasn't there. But when defenders would block off, he was there. It was just, as I said again, just everyone was positionally off this game, and Martial, the player, also lost position in the final third a lot, and wasn't his game today. But compared to other players, he did perform better. But it wasn't as great as we anticipated this place to be. Marcus gets a 2. I know it's weird, lower rating than Daniel James, but Marcus was just the thing is, I know he's not fit. That's the thing. I know he's not fit, and I don't want to say this, but I think that he's off the field position is very good. I wouldn't want him to stop, but it is sort of getting in the way of his football, because I know that it's it's his injuries and that he's had, but you know that could be also playing in the fact that he's charity for Josh Glitter to help younger children, to feed young children. I feel that he's having a bit of an involvement and getting in the way of his professional career because he's too focused on that more, So it's the same with Lingard, he has some issue with Lingard, off the he allowed he's sort of a line off the field problems to come to ruin his game a bit. So we said that Marcus and Shaw, they have a good partnership in that, but and it is working, but I think you have to give credit to Crystal Palace defense because they played like if they played like if they conceded it would be the end of the world, which they did, but they were already in a good lead, so there's that. Then we move on towards Mason Greenwood, a 3 as well. I wanted to give him 2. I'm sorry, scratch that. I can't edit now, but give him a 2. I'm gonna give him a 2. He wasn't better than Daniel James when he came on. He wasn't better. He was, for me, he didn't perform as well. Maybe it could be because of the England drama and that, but he didn't perform well. Just that was his team positionally. All these players positionally were poor, and even that sitter that he missed when Fosumensa played the ball in, it was, I was a bit shocked, I know there wasn't enough power on that ball, but, that you still had a bit of time to, take it down and quickly try and shoot maybe, but yeah, maybe that header should have been harder. But yeah, he didn't have quite a great game, and, all these players were just poor, to be honest. Then we move on to Igalo. I've given him a 2. I know it's close with Greenwood, but when he came on, he didn't have much to do, but he was too slow in getting to the ball when the ball came in, and there was that opportunity where I don't know, was it Bruno who played the ball to him, where he could have just hold the ball up, but he accidentally lost position, and that could have been a goal. We could have scored, and there could have still been belief that we could have taken the game to 3-3, but well, it was a really disappointing result, and God didn't have really much to do, and when he came on, he wasn't as great, and he was actually performing bad. So yeah, I'm really upset, really devastated. But yeah, we move on towards the main man, Donny van de Beek. He gets a 6, one higher than De Gea. He did come on as a substitute. He performed well, to be honest, and that's one of the reasons he should have started, because like Patrice Evra said, after the game, that he should have started Donny van de Beek, and then if he started him and he had a bad game, you would say that he's poor. He was poor, but when you brought him on as a substitute, you made it see it becomes the manager's problem, because he should have started Donny van de Beek. So it was disappointing, but a great game for him, got his debut goal, and at the end of the day, United wouldn't as class as we all wanted them to be, and I predicted they were in 4-0, and there were 4 goals scored, but it was just the other way around, sort of. But yeah, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and turn the notification bell so you don't miss a video, and yeah, see you on the flip side.